Look at the adjective. Play.
And I have half the brain that you do. I told you. Oh, God.
Now is the franchise going to take the Viagra?
Gonna put some butts in the seat.
Hello there, wrestling fans, and welcome to episode number 98 of Because WCW, the podcast where the big boys play. My name is the Twisted Genius, Dean Ayers, and I am joined as ever by my colleague, the DAZN sports journalist, Liam Happ. Good evening to you, Liam. How are you doing?
I am doing great. I just went to see how that sounded like a chant. It was okay. It was 6 out of 10. Nothing amazing.
You do remind me of a mid-90s ECW fan who could only talk in chants.
Yeah. Or that guy who did the PWG, where that one guy was just going Super Dragon. Was that PWG?
I think it might have been. Yeah, early PWG. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So how are you doing?
Yeah, not bad. It's a period of great transition at Casa del Hap. We are just hours away from some professionals coming over, some asbestos professionals coming over and smashing down the motorcycle garage in our garden that has been there since we moved in, because the previous owner was a petrol head. We're going to have that smashed down. We're going to reinforce the back of our garden. We're going to build a lovely cabin.
Can I just check? Reinforcing the back of your garden, that isn't a euphemism.
Not like that.
No, that's all right.
Definitely not like that. No, we are going to just really get the house done. We're both back working full time, which is why we're so perpetually tired on this podcast, isn't it, Dean?
Indeed, yes. Our default position now is tired.
Do you remember we've got in 0 to 60, we've gone from golden age, podcasts every week, let's do more. Oh, what? They're adding another hour to Nitro? Great, we want to do more. To,
yeah.
But yeah, aside from that, the money obviously means we can finally do the renovation on the house between the wife and I. So that's exciting times.
Good stuff. Yeah, we've got building work being done in our back garden next week as well. It's clearly the season for it. No, we're having our pond knocked down. Not like that. The pond of death. We've got this disused old koi pond at the back of our garden. It takes up about a third of the garden. We have no use for it. It's got covered in pondweed to the point that it's just solid green, which then means that idiot magpies, the thieving bastards of the bird world, swoop down on it, think that it's grass, get bogged down in the pondweed and drown. And it happens in pairs for some reason. They go in pairs. So we've had 3 pairs of magpies that we've discovered in our pond. We've had to scoop out with a net.
Isn't there some sort of adverb about magpies in pairs, or is that a completely different bird?
One for sorrow, 2 for joy. That is magpies. Yeah.
I'm so indifferent to birds. I weren't even sure.
Yeah. And so we put some chicken wire. We put NWA cage style chicken wire across the bit of the pond we can reach, but they still got in the other half.
So
yeah,
we need to change that adverb, really, don't we, Dean? To 1 for sorrow, 2 for an invite to Michael Barrymore's pool party.
1 for sorrow, 2 for more sorrow, as you have to scoop twice as many dead birds out. And I tell you something, the stench of dead magpie and pondweed is not a pleasant one.
No. I mean, either one of those two would be enough for me. A combination,
yeah.
Wow.
The combination, they do not cancel each other out, I can tell you that much. But we've had more pleasant smells inside the house this weekend. We went to a pick-your-own farm at the weekend and picked a load of fruit, and my other half has been busy making jam all weekend, which is great for me because I'm, as a diabetic, given that it's 50% sugar. But hey, I won't be eating much of it.
So is it fair to say that she be jamming
Jamming
to the breaker? That I had to. I'm really sorry.
Yeah. And I won't. I was going to make another joke, but it got a terrible reception from you when we were just chatting about it before we started recording. So I'm not even going
See,
to go there.
you shouldn't try these jokes to your target audience before the big go of it live on the podcast. You should do like me when I want to practice a joke that I'm going to use on the podcast. I actually just do it by myself in the mirror, wearing nothing but one black sock, and usually I piss myself laughing.
I see. All right. Well, we'll move swiftly on. Let's move swiftly on to the episode. It's a Nitro Watchalong from July the 22nd, 1996. We are back at the Disney MGM studios. So last week we had the first live appearance of the all in black heel Hulk Hogan, not yet Hollywood Hulk Hogan, just heel Hulk Hogan. And this, however, is the first Nitro of the NWO era that is going head to head with a live episode of Raw. So you would expect they'll be pulling out all the stops to stop people from turning over. I also found out the reason why we are having these tapings at Disney MGM. We had kind of speculated on this already. It was to do with the 1996 Olympic Games happening in Atlanta. Basically, all of Turner Broadcasting's outside broadcast units were being used for the Olympics. So, therefore, WCW moved to a venue that had its own broadcast facilities at Disney, and they were able to do the Nitro tapings there. So, that is why those shows are at Nitro and will continue for another few weeks. But yeah, so we are all set on 0000000. I hope you are too, Liam.
I'm just hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You've got all the zeros.
All the
Pleased to
zeros,
report.
all
Yep.
6 of them. Yep, right.
All 6 zeros.
So we will press play in 3, 2, 1, play.
There's
Cue
buildings.
burning buildings.
Hang on, no. Oh, now they're burning. Now they're burning.
Yeah.
All right.
And we've still got red and yellow Hulk Hogan. How long before they change that?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see just what the gap is. Because we've now had, last week we had the first in-ring appearance of post-turn Hogan in all black. They were referencing Hollywood Hogan. Mean Gene in particular was really trying to get that across, wasn't he? Ever the pro.
Yep.
So, yeah, really they need to catch that up. But it looks like we're going to have another episode, Dino, where we get to enjoy the sun going down throughout the telecast.
Yep, and it's good to see as well that the letters NWO written on bed sheets is not draped over the letters of WCW right now.
I believe they took those down before the end of the broadcast, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
After they abandoned their posts up there and got ready to run in on the main event. And it's funny they're talking about the Olympics because obviously we're in the Olympics now and it feels so surreal.
Yeah. Very much so. I mean, yeah.
This is old footage of Halloween Havoc 94.
Yeah, with Muhammad Ali. Because obviously Muhammad Ali played a major role in the opening ceremony of the 96 Atlanta Olympics.
And he was there at Havoc 94 because Hulk Hogan was desperately trying to recreate 1985 with the usual celebrities there. Speaking of desperate celebrity links for Hogan, here's Shaquille O'Neal in a Hulkster shirt.
And Hulkster when he was babyface, of course. So I'm not sure what's happening. Oh, they're talking about they're just seemingly throwing celebrity clips of WCW for no apparent reason.
Yeah, I actually thought they were going to turn into this is what Hulk was, and it's sad what he's become. But now they didn't even do that segue.
And they're plugging that Hulk Hogan has challenged the Giant for the world title at Hog Wild on the 10th of August. So that's still 3 weeks or so away.
Yeah, Zbyszko doing a good job of tying in the fact that obviously the Dungeon of Doom and Hogan were loggerheads, rather one-sided loggerheads for pretty much the whole last 12 months.
Oh, we're seeing the NWO bed sheets.
Can you imagine how much money they would have made on eBay?
Well, yeah, because you'd have to buy an N, a W, and an O, so you could just make people buy a set of 3 bed sheets.
And of course, they've got a cocktail in hand,
Of
which
course.
seemed a lot cooler at the time before we knew what we knew about Scott Hall.
Yes. Larry Zabisco saying, "Don't trust anybody." Oh, here we go. So we've been, how long's that been?
Yeah,
3.5 minutes. You know, for
we've
WCW, that's not too bad.
we've complained about it in old pay-per-views like 91, 92, 93 when we do those episodes. And here in the summer of 96, they are still doing an overly long preamble that really fizzles out that buzz of the crowd when the fireworks first go off.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, to
mind-boggling.
be fair, it's different. I think it's different when it's free TV compared to when it's pay-per-view, where you've paid money to watch the show and you just want to see some wrestling. Here is Squire Dave Taylor from Bradford in Yorkshire, which is one of the least aristocratic places in the UK you could ever dream of.
But in pro wrestling parlance, it's the UK. There's no
Yes.
subtlety or nuance here. This is the same industry that look at someone like Rusev and go, What's a Bulgaria? Ah, sorry, it's Russian. You're Russian now, Rusev."
Well, you do often see that, presumably because of the size comparison, that Americans often think of Europe as an entire country, which, it's a massive constant with different languages and different cultures, but it's around about the same size as the USA. So I can understand why that happens.
And yet they'd
Um,
be the first one to differentiate and say, don't associate me with those New Yorkers. Don't associate me with those Texans. They don't want to be lumped in all in one there. But
or
apparently,
Canadians.
yeah. So,
Okay, so we've got a bona fide heavyweight contest here. Dave Taylor against Scott Norton.
and after what we saw in the recent episode, Dean, this is very much Hill versus Hill, isn't it?
Well, I was going to say it's a bit of an odd matchup because, I mean, the crowd, but Taylor, to his credit, has got the crowd chanting USA.
But then his opponent in this scenario has just turned on his tag partner and shoved like a manager down to the ground. It's very much he's the angry, miserable, grumpy one in that whole fire and ice split. So it's a
Yes.
weird place to run it. And Taylor is now ducking and dodging and showing babyface fire, or what would normally be babyface fire in this role.
Just, and then just got leveled with a massive clothesline.
So yeah, it's
That
good.
was one hell of a clothesline.
You'll remember that match we had not last week. It's been a little while, but on the last episode of Nitro we covered, we had that tag title match with Harlem Heat against Enos and Dick Slater,
Oh,
didn't we?
rough and ready,
Where
yes.
they couldn't even. Not only did they try and go heel versus heel, but there was no dichotomy. No one slotted into a de facto role, which you commonly see if you're gonna run that. There's
Mm.
usually like a lesser evil or a home hope where you can give a temporary, you know. Did the bell just ring?
Yeah, I think he's been disqualified for throwing, must be for throwing Taylor over the top rope.
This is the weirdest match I've
Yes.
seen in some time. They've basically gone to these two guys. Yeah, go out and wrestle for a bit. We're gonna throw it out after 2 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow, Norton's going big here. Powerbomb on the outside.
Norton had Taylor over his shoulder, either in a backbreaker or powerbomb or whatever he was going for. Didn't work because he bumped into someone at the broadcast table and lost his grip on Taylor.
Who
So
books
even that didn't
segments
work,
like
and he's
that?
just shoved him away and walked off.
That was so weird.
That was.
Who actually puts that down on a sheet of paper and says, "Oh, that's a good way to start the telecast"?
I have no idea. That was very, very odd.
And it's one of them
That
things, like, do you know where we see there's a lot of things in wrestling that are objectively bad, even subjectively bad. Um, but in this instance, these two guys went at each other for a couple of minutes. They did nothing wrong per se, but the whole construction, the whole booking of it was weird.
didn't Art of the Open and all that didn't really do the trick. So we've now got one of these. Now you like these little ad bumpers, they call them in TV, aren't they? With VK Wall Street doing a little promo about why he's going to beat Conan next.
Yeah, as a general rule, they make a lot of sense. They look the part. They give us a good bit of nostalgia because they're of the time as well. They could easily work now, but they're cheerfully of the time. Thing is, that Wall Street promo and that gimmick of his was just dire. Hang
Oh, look
on,
where we are.
could it be? Is it?
It is. There's no Ric Flair though.
It's still Ric Flair's banquet table though. But it's Arn leading the promo though. It's 3 of the 4 horsemen.
Yeah, we've got Arn, Benoit, Steve McMichael, Deborah McMichael, Elizabeth, and wearing a white suit and sunglasses woman she's not flirting with Mean Gene just yet.
She's rather subdued, and
She
visibly
is.
she's got her hands on Benoit's shoulders in the
Yes.
first little sign of that.
Mm.
So Arn said the one thing that Ric Flair likes, other than the finer things of life and the beautiful women, is to make an entrance. So he's kind of promised that there's going to be a bit more of an elaborate Flair entrance later on this show.
Which is difficult at this venue because there isn't much of an entranceway.
Mongo's still keeping up the free party line. Who cares about the outsiders? We're going to beat the crap out the baby faces. So we've still got that nuance.
Yeah, which I believe is it's Sting, Luger, and the Macho Man. So the babyface team from Bash at the Beach against the Horsemen. So there's your superstar main event to keep people from switching onto Raw. That's a pretty damn good star power, you have to say.
Yeah. Even if Benoit says he is unrelentless.
Unrelentless, does that
Yeah.
mean he will relent?
Maybe that's a sugar-free relentless energy drink. I don't know.
Ah.
No, it's they had that and then they discontinued it, which I hate because I love a sugar-free energy drink and sugar-free relentless. I think Relentless Zero they called it, which makes sense.
Sugar-free relentless is still going. I've got a can in my car.
That's bollocks, mate. They've taken it away from every shop. I can't even order them online.
I saw a can of it in the petrol station yesterday. That's all I'm saying.
That's because you live in
The past.
No, you just live on the south coast. You've probably got marathon bars in your newsagents.
Opal fruits. So here, VK Wall Street, the poor man's Ted DiBiase, is out, and here comes Conan.
Conan is underrated WCW theme before he started all the self hip hoppy themes of his about tossing your salad and what have you.
Yes. What the hell? So he's wearing what looks like a stolen Rey Mysterio mask, and a coat that looks like it predates Asuka's entrance robe, basically.
He looks like. Do you remember Scott Steiner at that era where his face was smashed in and he had to wear that protective mask?
Yeah.
He looks like he's wearing the Scott Steiner / Joey Mercury protective mask.
His jacket looks like, if you go into a wrestling video game, you have create a wrestler, and you just create a jacket that has got
You basically
like
sit on
every
your
single
controller,
layer.
yeah.
Yeah, sit on the control pad, turn all the colours up, every layer going. So here we go. Potential clash of styles, you might say.
Oh man, so on the last 2 episodes, this one and the last one, the choice of matchmaking has been I mean, we used to complain. One of the things we said wasn't very good, even when Nitro was enjoyable. One of our concerns was that they were going to the same matchups over and over again. So at least they're freshen up. But this is reeking of malicious compliance.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about some weird and wonderful matchups that we've seen in the past on Nitro. Some really good matches, Eddie Guerrero and the Barbarian, things like that.
Yeah. Malenko's been key to some of those. I mean, that one with Kidman recently was very, very good.
Yep.
Just a wild hell for leather sprint, wasn't it?
And at the moment, Wall Street is just the stooge for Conan's various offensive antics. Offensive antics, as in on the attack, not offending us.
So
And Wall Street
commentary.
makes sure he chucks Conan through the middle rope so he doesn't get disqualified.
Yeah, that rule is ridiculous. So you might as well get rid of it at this stage because it's just going to confuse the hell out of people. Commentary running down the card, I believe, and they said about US heavyweight champion Ric Flair facing Eddie Guerrero, which not only reminded me that yes, they actually put the US belt on him in 1996, but yeah, right here is the man he beat, Conan.
At the Bash at the Beach 96 pay-per-view, I think, wasn't it?
Indeed. Which I always remember of him just randomly singing La Cucaracha during his pre-match promo.
Yes. Of course, Hog Wild is a show that we haven't covered yet.
Yeah, it's on the to-do list.
Maybe a guest, maybe a guest could join us, but we're a few weeks away from that yet.
Indeed, we've got a few other plans coming up. As people know that this is episode 98, we want to try and make that 100 special. We've got a few ideas going along, and in the inevitable occasion that they all fall apart, we'll still do something special and have a good time anyway, won't we, Dean?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, after we've hit that big milestone, it'll be the match beyond, so to speak. We'll have to see what to line up. We've got a few pay-per-views we haven't done, a few guests we'd love to have on that haven't been on before, and we'll see where it takes
clashes,
us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're doing clashes now. I forget about that.
Wall Street now in charge of the match. Body slam, elbow drop, standard offense.
I like Zbyszko really leaning into the gimmick, talking about how much money he's got. At least he's giving it a try, because this is at the end of the day, this is a really, really cheap knockoff of something that was very good, which is a shame.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the inspiration was the Money Inc. tag team that he'd had with DiBiase a few years before in the WWF. He was a man of many, many gimmicks, wasn't he, Mike Rotundo?
It was actually quite a surprise that he was IRS for essentially about 4 years. It's quite a good innings for him.
Yeah.
But
I mean, there's Mike Rotundo, Captain Mike Rotunda, Varsity Club Mike Rotunda, Michael Wall Street, VK Wall Street, Erwin R. Shyster.
One half of the US Express.
Yes.
And the master of the really dull rest hold. Oh, the fans are chanting Erwin at him. And he can't really respond to it as Hill Heat because that would be acknowledging who he was.
Yeah.
You'd think fans would realise that, wouldn't you? That there's this, and I've seen a lot of it come up in recent conversations that, fans, if they're enjoying a heel's work, they will happily just boo their hearts out. But if you're gonna do a bit of heel heat, if you're gonna try and be smart about it and say Irwin, or if you're gonna say, ironically, given the family ties, if you're gonna say Husky Harris at Bray Wyatt,
I was just gonna say that. Yeah.
If you're gonna do that, then you're not really gonna. Oh, look at that. So after getting dominated, Conan gets Samoan dropped, but turns the pin into a crucifix.
Nice.
But yeah, fans have got to realise that doing that, you're putting wrestlers between a rock and a hard place, and you're not enjoying the banter, for lack of a better term, you can have with the wrestlers.
Yeah, because as you say, there's it's basically you're trying to tell people, look how clever I am that I know what they're recording in another promotion, which most people that are wrestling fans in that venue will know. Big
Exactly.
deal.
And did you notice as he walked away in celebration, Conan took an apple from the banquet table, took a big bite, thus
I
giving
didn't
birth to
notice that.
Carlito's gimmick a few years later.
Well, he's got to get back at Ric Flair somehow. Ric Flair took his United States belt. He takes Ric Flair's apple.
Exactly, and it just feels weird to think that there is actually just 8 years between this show and the debut of Carlito.
Just 8 years.
Doesn't feel
Here
like it.
is Mean Gene with our main eventers Sting, Luger, and the Macho Man, who I believe is no longer out of control. Liam.
Yeah, he looks a bit more focused now, but he could be out of control any minute now. It could happen again. You never know.
And Luger and Sting, who are on the same page, and there is no what's the deal between them.
Yeah, I missed that. I did ask. Do you know what? I did ask Savage. Is there any chance of him being unstable again? And is there any chance of his tag partners not knowing what the deal between them? And do you know what he said to me?
Was it? Nope.
Indeed, we've got them all our catchphrases in one go. I'm so proud of us.
Oh, what a show! It's like we're nearly 100 shows in. We've bedded in our catchphrases.
Well, it is wrestling. That is what wrestling's all about. Repeating the same old shit over and over again until it gets over.
Absolutely. That's what I did in the FWA.
That's what politicians do as well. That's the alarming thing.
As the song, I can't remember which song it is now, but there's a song by the band Flowbots which says, professional wrestlers and politicians want you to believe them.
It's true. Look at
Very
Sting's
true.
hair, by the way.
Lockdown hair.
He's still very much Surfer Sting with his face paint and his promo, but that hair is getting progressively darker and progressively longer.
Yeah, but
Knowing what we know,
yeah, but I was going to say, as it gets longer, surely he's getting more Surfer Sting. Surfers have long flowing locks a lot of the time.
at the time, that's probably absolutely what people are thinking. Oh, he's updating his look a little bit, but he's still very much in line with his thing. He's just sick of the short blonde hair. Fair enough. But yeah, knowing what we know, can't wait
Also,
to
I've got
watch
to say,
the transformation over these weeks, over these watch
yeah,
alongs.
this will be good, definitely. Also, I've got to say, Mean Gene rocking the casual top with the jacket. Here, there's no shirt and tie with Mean Gene today. Oh,
Mean
hang
Gene
on,
rocks everything. That's an actual person.
we've got a new Glacier promo with, as you say, Liam, an actual person.
And it looks like my dad doing kung fu.
It looks like a man predating COVID and wearing a face mask 25 years before COVID.
Ah, see, but in Japan they're already doing this. They've been doing it for decades.
That's true.
Um, I feel bad slagging off his kicks and his poses there, because if I have this right, Ray Lloyd actually is ranked, and he does have training, doesn't he, with some
Yeah,
sort of
here's a
martial
bona
arts.
fide. Here's a
But
bona fide
in that
kickboxer. Yeah.
promo alone, just in that promo, he was looking extremely wooden and like he was a parody.
I've just got to interrupt you to ask, what the fuck are we watching now? This is some kind of Baywatch style promo with people walking down the beach in slow motion. We've had two people I don't recognize and Alex Wright.
Yeah, WCW really didn't have their demographic with stuff like that. It weren't washing in like the 93s when they had like Tom Zink in various Pretty Boy tag teams.
Yeah.
And in 96, they're still trying it. We've got the American Males, obviously. That went down extremely well. And they're just still
Yeah.
insisting on doing this crap.
I don't know who those other people are. I don't know if they said who it was, but I didn't catch any
We
names if
know
they did.
Alex Wright was one of
Oh,
them. I
here they
want to
are.
say
They're coming
Joe
in the ring now.
Gomez was one. Joe Gomez,
Possibly, yeah.
Renegade. Well,
Oh,
that
here you go.
was and that Jim
Alex Wright,
Powers.
Joe Gomez, Jim Powers, and Renegade.
Because the music for the promo and for this entrance is the Renegades Warrior rip-off music.
Ah.
So who are they up against? I missed that. Dungeon of Doom.
Dungeon of Doom. Oh, and we've got a new member of the Dungeon of Doom being unveiled here.
I mean, are they really in a? They've been usurped by a new heel group, which is led by the man who was trouncing them when they were the top heel group anyway. Are they really in
Yeah.
a position to be hiring new members? Try and remember who else would join at this juncture as well. Who are you saying?
I don't know.
Hugh Morris is already a part, isn't he?
Kamala has come and gone.
Yeah. There's Hugh, there's Barbarian, Kevin Sullivan, and we're just waiting for the fourth. They're walking past. I love that tree in the entranceway. Every week I've
Yeah,
loved
it's
that.
brilliant. There's the Barbarian.
Who's that? Someone's
Oh,
running
hang
up
on.
behind them. Who is it? What
Is
the?
this Buddy Lee Parker as a leprechaun?
This is not only is this Buddy Lee Parker as a leprechaun, this is the thumbnail for this episode. I think this one's a
Definitely.
slam dunk. Nothing's going to top this.
Nothing is going to top Buddy Lee Parker as a deranged leprechaun.
So we've got the New World Order taking over, wiping out heels and babyface alike, changing the game as we know it. Dungeon of Doom bring out a leprechaun. Oh, I can't believe they weren't the top heel group.
I know, what's wrong with people, eh?
So it's talking about interesting matchups. This is going to be bloody fun, isn't it?
As the night is drawing in and the cameraman seemingly is having a seizure. Oh no, hang on, this is just shit going on in the back because we've got a cameraman going backstage. Something's happening.
And they're actually staying with the cameraman who walked from his ringside position to the entranceway. That was different.
That's one way of saying it. Beautiful moonsault body block by Alex Wright on the Barbarian.
Alex Wright is hell bent on making this interesting if it's the last thing he does, but then he's going to throw punches like that.
So we've got the outsiders, Hall and Nash, have invaded the production truck, and now they're mucking around with production. They've made the show fade to black.
Schiavone's beside himself.
Schiavone's outraged that they're interrupting the program, and Zabisco is just insistent that they don't touch his microphone.
Well, have you seen the matches we've had lined up so far? They're doing us a favour.
Yeah.
There's now a heavy echo and everything.
Yeah, heavy feedback.
Wandering
So we've just
somewhere
got
else.
Hall and Nash wandering around the offices, not the offices, the production. Oh, they're taking the headset off now, and see, ground control to Major Tom says Nash.
They're
Oh,
panning the
they're
crowd
asking
looking for someone.
Who are they looking for? Now this is this is they're kind of they're doing it in a cool way as opposed to in a dickish way, aren't they? Which is why they end up getting cheered.
Oh yeah, this was always part of their thing. Like when you give people creative control, obviously the wrestlers are gonna want to be a character that dominates everyone like a heel, gets cheered like a babyface, and also wins the program like a babyface. I mean,
Yeah.
be honest, Dean. Nine out of 10 wrestlers you give crowd control to. That's exactly the sort of characters they're going to want to be. They're going to want to be
Yeah.
Superman and Batman and everyone rolled into one. So it's no shock they've turned into like massively self-centered, egocentric divas over the time span of this, which is a shame because as we said in episodes like Starcade '97, the storyline was hot, the fans were ready for the logical conclusion, and it would have led to other things after that. But
Yeah. Your microphone's gone a little bit faint, by the way. I don't know if you've changed where the mic is or something, but
how
you just
about now?
a little bit better.
Yeah, I got so despondent thinking about how WCW fucked themselves. I must have knocked myself away from the mic.
Tony
Security and
Schiavone's, Tony Schiavone's apologising, and we're back to the 8-man tag that no one cared about in the first place. And well, I've got to say, I did like the use of the word preposterous by Tony Schiavone. You don't hear that word used enough.
Yeah, normally he's saying other things like this is the greatest thing in the history of this great sport, and that's it.
Yeah.
So the Leprechaun, obviously we've been away from half of this match, but the Leprechaun has not made any attempt to be on the apron in position for a tag. He's basically just like pulled into the
He
ring
might
from
have
a
been.
managerial position and grabbed legs and stuff.
He might have been on the apron while they were panning the crowd. Now he's gone back down to the ground again. I mean, he probably has. He could have done. Oh,
He's
here comes Teddy
oh,
Long. Teddy
Te-
Long is now talking with Jim Powers.
he's giving him some inspiration. He said the only thing to fear is fear itself. And with words like that, of course he's going to go on a massive babyface surge. I mean, I feel motivated just hearing it secondhand. I don't know about you, Dean.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
want to go and tear
Also,
down this motorcycle garage myself just from hearing Teddy Long.
isn't Jim Powers like the oldest young and upcoming rookie going?
He's definitely the most roided up rookie in this, and here's the Giant.
Oh, the Giant has just walked in to end this shit because he's had enough of it.
I can't blame him.
And the Leprechaun is just like clubbing people at ringside. He still hasn't got into the ring.
This good old WCW. It's easy to
Everyone's
forget
getting chokeslammed.
with the retconning of how great the New World Order was. It's easy to forget that there's crap like this happening.
The crowd seemed quite happy because I don't think they gave a monkeys about this match.
Yeah, I think the Giant's gonna be here for a reason. Surely he's gonna be here to talk Hulk Hogan. Sorry, Hollywood Hogan.
Well, the crowd reacted to the Giant, and why wouldn't they? I mean, he's massive. And Mean Gene is getting in the ring, walking past the pile of baby faces at the ringside.
The ever intrepid Mean Gene, the fearless Mean Gene Okerlund.
In his sports casual top.
So, this has to be surely, Dean, for the answer. Casual dressed Mean
Yes.
Gene is going to get the answer to the challenge. I'm certain of it.
Actually, it's more of a nautical look for Mean Gene, isn't
I suppose, yeah.
it? And Mean Gene doesn't want Jimmy Hart behind him.
Not like that. Or, well, maybe like that. We don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, he wants the answers, Dean. He wants the big answers.
Yep.
Hmm. He says his mission was to win the title, and he has. I thought his mission was to destroy Hulkamania, and he could have tied into that there.
Well, Hulkamania destroyed Hulkamania.
Yeah, he could still destroy the guy responsible for the whole thing. Oh, here's the Hollywood. You've been in Hollywood making movies. I love that one. It's Ric Flair, Terry Funk all over again. He just referred to himself, the Giant, as the cancer that no one can cure in WCW.
Yeah, odd line, I have to say.
Yeah. Oh, that's an acceptance.
Yep, and a babyface promo from the Giant. Jimmy Hart's smiling. So he's still part of the Dungeon of Doom at this point, isn't he, the Giant?
Yeah, it's all a bit
But
blurry,
he's
and
now giving a babyface promo.
I know they want those layers, they want those blurred lines, but a lot of the time, if you do it, it's just going to confuse. There's a
Yeah,
way to do it, and that match and all of that is not it.
indeed.
Ooh, Sting and Lex Luger then will be together.
Excellent. Oh, Rough and Ready will be on Saturday
Oh,
night.
seems like a very good tag team episode Saturday night. Steiners, Nasties.
Mm. After the baseball, though, Liam.
Love a bit of baseball.
What's the baseball later on?
It's trade deadline week in MLB. I'll have you know, Dean. This is around when we're over halfway through the season, and teams will decide whether or not they've got a chance of making the playoffs. And the teams that make the playoffs will attempt to negotiate players away from the teams who have given up on their hopes of it, and they'll try
Okay.
and take the better players from the lesser sides in return for prospects, young up and comers, or maybe draft picks. With the thinking being that the teams who are struggling will go, all right, you have our good player now because we're not going to make the playoffs anyway. You give us those prospects, and hopefully in 2 or 3 years we'll be winning the
Yeah.
division. So I just thought I'd
Okay.
run that trivia by you.
Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So we've gone straight into another match without any intro. This is Diamond Dallas Page, who is on a roll at the moment against Prince Iaukea. So I think we can work out who's going to win this match. But let's see how it goes.
Well, the thing about Prince Iaukea is that you have to build him first.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny. You didn't even get it, did you, Dean?
Hmm? I didn't get that.
You called him Prince Iaukea.
Oh,
You have to
IKEA.
build him.
Yeah.
See, I run this one past the mirror wearing one black sock, and it was hilarious. And in the
And
meantime,
he is flatter than Flat Pack. He's been leveled with a diamond cutter, and it's a very, very quick win for DDP.
but the speed of that diamond cutter in the match keeps on adding to the out of nowhere dichotomy.
Yes.
So we've seen a couple of reversal ones. We've seen one just come point blank, quick gut kick and nailing the car, and we've just seen one within a minute of a match.
Mm.
Oh look, it's
And
the
we've now
executive
got
consultant of Andrade Idolo.
Idolo. We've got a very young-looking Chavo Guerrero cutting a promo about his upcoming match with Dean Malenko, which will be
Another
good.
interesting matchup from Lenko, but I made that reference to his AEW debut because come on,
Yes.
how cool was that little nod, that little homage that they're running like the executive consultant thing for Andrade, who is who is married to Charlotte Flair.
I'm a bit behind on my AEW. I haven't seen that yet. But what's the reference to Charlotte Flair as an executive consultant? No,
Well,
it's not. I'm not with you.
Chavo Guerrero Jr. is the executive consultant of Andrade.
Yes, I saw that
And
bit. Or read that.
Ric Flair specifically didn't have the manager, he had the executive consultant, Mr. Perfect. And I don't think anyone has used that
Ah,
specific job title in mainstream wrestling since.
now I get you.
There you go, boyo.
So
Glad I
we are
could
just
be of
getting a
assistance.
recap of the Benoit Taskmaster Kevin Sullivan feud.
Yeah, it's on again, off again a little bit, like everything else involving Sullivan, really.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, those subtle little nods to the links between Woman and Benoit are continuing. Schiavone
Hmm.
referencing it there. This one's still got a lot of gas in it, because if I remember correctly, these two are still feuding come Bash at the Beach 97.
Bloody hell.
Hmm.
Here comes a fired up babyface Chavo Guerrero Jr.
Well, it's the only sort of Guerrero we knew at this time. He's even using Eddie's music, which I like.
Mm.
And here comes one of your favourite themes.
Indeed, the Iceman Dean Malenko. And let's face it, we've seen enough Dean Malenko matches on Nitro to know you're not going to get a bad Dean Malenko match. There is no such thing
No,
on Nitro or anywhere else for that matter.
and they generally pair him up with people who can work, who can bump, and even when he does a really curious one like Sting brings his working boots.
Mm.
So the compatibility is there, but also whoever is in the ring with him does seem massively motivated to put in a bit of a shift. And we know young Chavo, not quite the 5 years later Chavo Guerrero who was absolutely fantastic at the end of WCW, but still very energetic. Chavo's going to give him everything he needs here.
Yeah. Oh, we've just got a recap of last week's Benoit Guerrero match. Eddie
Of
Guerrero, I
course,
should say.
yeah. Because the Dungeon of Doom,
Yeah.
that's why they recapped the Sullivan thing. The Dungeon of Doom have outsourced their hatred for Chris Benoit to Dean Malenko for some reason. That's a
Well,
good.
you know, if you had to rely on a wrestler to take someone out of commission, would you want it to be Dean Malenko or the Leprechaun?
I don't know. I'm still thinking. Hang on. It's a tough one.
I've got to push you for an answer. I'm sorry.
I mean, to be
We've
fair,
got to.
if it has to be a wrestling match, I suppose you go with the merciless technician. But can't they just send the Leprechaun to go attack Chris Benoit backstage? That'd be funny.
Yeah. Well, the cameras are backstage, just capturing what the outsides are doing. So
Oh,
they've got a
Zabisco just actually answered our question right there, in saying that they want someone who can psych out an opponent and break their spirit mentally. So good work from Larry Z.
Yeah. He's talking about the Leprechaun. Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Thought so.
He psychs me out just looking at the fucking bastard.
There's a reason, ladies and gentlemen, that Liam's never done wrestling commentary.
Excuse me. I
Broadcasting.
did. I did a very well received tryout at your old employers. I bet you don't remember that. I don't think you were there, to be fair.
Was that FWA?
I went to FWA Star Search. I did commentary.
Ah,
I was told by a lot of people I did pretty damn well. I was never given any sort of next steps to thing, but then again, I didn't agree to do security for no pay for several months. So that's probably why I didn't get anything after that. But I did go
oh,
on
there
to
you
do local commentary of football for a long time.
go. Ah,
So I weren't too bad. And I managed to refrain from swearing. But the reason I
well,
refrained from
yeah.
swearing
I
was
was
because
going to
I didn't
say,
have to
is
watch
that because?
WCW.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that because you managed to avoid calling the referee a fucking bastard?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
WCW does that to you, though. How I didn't swear
Oh,
during the Roland Duchatelet era at Charlton, I'll never know.
and
Oh, 1 hour.
we've hit hour number 2 in the middle of this match.
And Bischoff's mic is a bit off.
I was just about to say, could someone fix Bischoff? Bischoff's doing what you were doing earlier. And you need to move your microphone, Eric. Oh, here we go.
Or maybe it was
Sorted.
Hall and Nash. Maybe Hall and Nash did it.
Mm. And even if they hadn't, they have now. That's the excuse, and we're sticking to it. And Bobby Heenan's microphone isn't on.
They've got to be playing. It has to be playing into this, surely, because obviously they're at different positions. It's not like they've taken over the same gear.
Yeah.
It has to be a residual of that, or it could
Oh,
just
here
be.
you go. Yeah, Bischoff just said we're not sure what went on in that control room.
Yeah, but it could just be World Championship Wrestling's traditional production values. We can't rule that out.
Here we go. We got Heenan on comps now. And Heenan's kind of is interesting. This Heenan's being a bit of the chicken shit hill routine, but he's afraid of the outsiders and the NWO and whoever else they might have in their numbers, and it's actually pushing the threat of the NWO credibly.
Yeah, well,
Because Heenan's being serious as opposed to being jokey.
this is how you do blurring the lines and adding layers. You just serve your own purposes and your own agendas, rather than wavering back and forth between them, like Dave Taylor was earlier, like the Dungeon of Doom have been a little bit. You just go out there and be you. That's how you do Shades of Grey, because that is natural. That is what humans are. That is how you come across as a believable middle ground, or a little bit of both, or whatever. There's boring chants during this, which is weird because while it's obviously not a super high marquee match by any means, they've only just gone to their first stretch hold, their rest hold, whereas Rotundo's match was full of it. We've just had that shower of Leprechaun shit, and now they want to chant boring.
Idiots.
So insight into typical tourist wrestling crowd. Really, you say a lot about this on these episodes, don't you? Where
Yeah.
you've done a lot of this, but I suppose what they find boring can be very different from what a proper wrestling crowd find boring.
Yeah, and I suppose you got to remember that there's a very small number, a tiny, tiny fraction of the audience live at the venue compared to the millions of people that are watching on TV around the country, and you've got to tailor things to the TV camera, but the problem you've got, of course, is if the audience live, if you lose the audience live, then that comes across badly to the TV audience because they think
Exactly,
people
yeah.
don't care. So it's a really fine balancing act.
Such as that family who are still play fighting with each other in the front row,
Yes,
as a
right
good
in front of
example. Yeah. I still hear fireworks going off as well. Brainbuster.
yeah, fireworks going off too. Oh, and here comes Jimmy Hart.
Cheering on his hired gun.
Cementing that Dungeon of Doom link. And I'm thinking that looks like Malenko's turned around. Looks like Malenko doesn't want anything to do with it. Meanwhile, he gets rolled up for a very near 2 count, very near to a 3 count by Chavo.
Malenko's a professional. He's probably accepted the payment. He's gone out and he's attacked him. He doesn't want Jimmy Hart cheerleading him. The job is, that's a different job. The job was done. Why is Jimmy Hart getting involved in his own personal business here?
Yeah. And is this WCW's attempt at elevating Dean Malenko to a higher level than he's been at previously?
It's good to see a storyline for him. Obviously, he has, as we touched upon, he's been showcased against a myriad of big name wrestlers and all sorts of talent. Here's the cloverleaf. It's academic.
Yep.
There's the tap.
So Chavo missed the top rope drop kick. Malenko let him land back first on the canvas, clamped on the cloverleaf, and that was it.
And that's a move you want to see more modern wrestlers use. I think does Sheamus still use it as a finish? He did for a tiny bit, didn't he?
Yeah, he's the brogue kick these days, isn't he, Sheamus?
But it's such a good the leg grab for that and the step over. It just looks it's a whole they're in trouble sort of deal, isn't it?
Mm.
And it
You
looks
can
like a
tell
really
great
painful
stories with
move.
it.
Yeah. So it's a shame you don't see it a little bit more often. You don't want to see everyone use it, obviously, but I think there should be at least one wrestler in every major organisation using the cloverleaf. Because if 10 of them on the roster can use a fucking spear, we can have at least one cloverleaf.
Yeah. And it's the kind of move that you can put on people pretty much regardless of their size.
Yeah. Although I'm sure like Hulk Hogan and The Rock and a few others will find a way to screw it up. But why would they care? They're absolutely loaded. But yeah, The Rock's sharpshooter was never pretty.
Yeah.
Now here's a good insert. This is how you do it, Dean.
Or Meng the Ice Train.
Yeah, Meng with Jimmy
hope,
Hart.
Yeah. I just hope Ice Train doesn't fuck anything up. That's all I can say.
Hyped up manager doing most of the talking. Menacing looking wrestler grunting and snarling. That is how you
and then
do
talking in Tongan at the end.
Yes, that is how you do a 15-second insert, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. So Bischoff is wearing his Monday Nitro polo shirt, and I don't know what Heenan's got on his. It's not WCW.
Is it just me? Bischoff's trying to come across in a far different way. He's trying to talk in more of like a dudish way. He's talking about these guys coming over here. You know, he really tried to overdo the stereotypical, Anchorman style early Nitro, didn't he? But now he's trying to be more of a casual dude.
Mm.
You hear it in his voice.
Yeah, it's a different tone. You're absolutely spot on. He's having a go at Hulk Hogan, basically.
Talk is cheap, Hogan, and so are you.
And Heenan is now hyping up the Giant, saying how badly he wants to chokeslam Hogan. And of course, we had this match. We had this as a main event with the roles reversed less than a year ago at the 95 Halloween Havoc.
That's right. And also Super Brawl 96 in a cage.
Oh. But yeah, this is where the story is very different. The roles are reversed. And suddenly, the Giant is the one defending the honor of WCW.
So here comes Ice Train, Dean. Friend of
Watch
the
out for
friend
that
of the
tree.
podcast.
Yes.
And they're really giving him the big promotion on commentary, even though it's not like his tag team split up was a massive launch of superstardom. He looked like a bit of a sap in the whole thing.
But he is big smiling baby face. So he is most definitely the baby face coming out of this split with Scott Norton.
Indeed, and he's wearing a lot of body oil, which bodes well for his chances of a push. Always be oiled up if you want to get pushed. What? I'm telling the truth. Tell me there's not a correlation. You get yourself nice and oiled up, you're in for a push.
Get yourself oiled up and your opponent can't get a hold of you.
Ah, it worked for Nakasawa.
Very true.
Who is now just a laptop-wielding crony.
I thought Meng was going to kick that tree down then. Let's face it, if anyone could kick a tree down, it was Meng.
To be fair, that would be like the segment of the show. That'd be an instant thumbs up. Just give me Meng kicking down trees.
So here we go. So Heenan is now putting over Meng, who of course he managed in the WWF as Haku, World Tag
Exactly.
Team Champions with Andre the Giant.
Playing into his martial arts credentials, which is it's pretty big considering the amazing display of martial arts we just had from Glacier in his first appearance.
Yes. And of course, Meng and Barbarian, for that matter, had brief careers in sumo wrestling before they got into pro wrestling.
They did indeed.
Big clash of bodies there, with both men going for like a cross body block and colliding in midair.
So, who you got for this one then?
Well, you would think if Ice Train's the new babyface, they'd want to give him the win, especially with Teddy Long there. But this is WCW after all.
It is indeed.
I mean, Ice Train never made it past that first level really in WCW. He was never pushed any further than that.
I mean, I don't know, man. There was that cliffhanger towards the end of WCW when you had MI Smooth. Do you remember? And I was actually pushing him for whatever reason.
Was that him? I remember the name
wasn't
MI
it?
Smooth. Yeah.
Pretty sure it was. I'm gonna double check that because you've made me paranoid now. Yeah, almost like I've not even had to hit enter on my Google search, and it looks like he is indeed Ice Train.
Oh,
And
fair enough.
and yeah, like he was pinning Canyon at the end, and Canyon was obviously prominently
Yeah.
featured.
Oh, fair enough then. I stand corrected.
So who
Big leg
knows?
drop from Meng.
Yeah, who knows how it would if those two had carried on. And obviously, I've got my own take on that, and I can assure everyone there's no MI Smooth in sight. But had it actually carried on, who knows what? Maybe he would have been the world champion.
Who knows?
I hope not.
Yes. Ice Train goes for a small package, gets a 2.5. Just to remind us all he's still in this. Jimmy Hart being given "You suck, Jimmy" chance.
I like that. And it's giving those fans who were bored earlier something to get into. So you just keep them engaged, even if they don't care about the match, and that's better than nothing, isn't it?
Definitely. Because you get them, and I speak from experience as a manager, you get them engaged with you, and then you transfer that onto the match. You know, look at your hero now. I can't hear you cheering for him, all that sort of thing, and then lo and behold, they're into the match.
So this is my favourite part of these watch-alongs, is these managerial insights, especially when the matches they're offering up are this sort of crud. I'd rather just turn the whole topic onto, your first-hand stories of how to work crowds like this and how wrestlers would work matches like this, because actually watching the match, even when it's got Meng, one of our favourites in, is pretty hard work.
I mean, so far, and I know we're about what 2/3 of the way through this, especially as this is head to head with a live Raw. It doesn't feel to me like they're pulling out all the stops on this episode of Nitro.
Oh, absolutely not. The one thing it's had going for it is it's been very fast-paced. None of these
Yeah,
matches have dragged, even though they've tried to, some of them. Like
yeah.
Rotunda
Now,
managed to squeeze in like 10 rest holds, but it was still not that long, thankfully.
yeah. I mean, bear in mind the first hour of Nitro at this point in time is unopposed. So you want to have a good hour to lead people in to keep watching, and that hasn't really happened. The only thing we've had is the preview of the main event.
Indeed. Few promos, had the Horseman, had a couple of other face. Obviously, we've had Giant accept the challenge, but that's right it.
Mm. And the commentators are pushing how Meng hasn't been able to hurt Ice Train too much, and translating that into how Scott Norton will cope when they inevitably have a match.
I mean, that's the way you got to go. You've got this big, slow baby face got to go for the resiliency route, haven't you? Really?
Yeah. Which is exactly what we've got now, and he's chopping Meg in the corner. Big clothesline into the corner by Ice Train. Crowd aren't really into it though. He's not doing an awful lot to get the crowd into it.
No,
The
he's
work
kind
in
of.
the ring is fine.
He's basically just done a less emphatic version of the movie he already did, and he looked knackered on that power slam.
Yeah. Now he's signaling to the crowd for something and climbing up to the middle rope. Still not a huge reaction. Oh, and he just got kicked in the face by Meng as he came off the middle rope.
So, from what they said, I think it's Eddie Guerrero and Psychosis. I could have swore earlier they said something about Ric Flair and Eddie Guerrero.
Actually, that's a yes. I think when we were talking about what's on the next episode, we said that. Oh, here comes Scott Norton, who's attacking Meng for some reason.
Has he had a crisis of conscience?
Change of heart? Who knows?
Oh.
He's just talked to the camera. He doesn't want Ice Train to have any excuses before Hog Wild. So he's basically ended the match because he didn't want, he didn't want Ice Train getting badly hurt, which doesn't make a huge amount of sense because if he was getting the shit kicked out of him by Meng, he's not going to be much of a not going to be much of an opponent. But hey,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're playing my favourite theme. They're playing the Outsiders theme / Bash at the Beach theme. But yeah, it was weird how Ice Train was right there after that, and he decided to walk over to a nearby cameraman to explain his evil plot.
hmm. We've now got a recap of the Hogan heel turn at Bash at the Beach. Now, is this voiceover Neil Pruitt?
I was just going to say it's a really good voiceover. He's got the right tone for it, well scripted. And they're making sure
Hogan's,
to get gun.
I was going to say Hogan's got the name of the group right for once.
Yeah, they're making sure to only use those clips. There's no new old organisation, brother.
Yeah. So we're just having a recap of the whole NWO formation storyline.
Basically, yeah. But it's fair enough because it's a big one.
Oh God, yeah.
Good clips, good voiceover.
Apparently, it's really scary what the Macho Man is thinking. So yeah, basically the push we're getting now is that week by week the outsiders are sabotaging Monday Nitro. So we've had the putting the NWO letters over WCW. We've had them going into the control room, and of course we know that the sabotage is going to get more because we must be fast approaching the infamous Rey Mysterio lawn dart incident.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's very soon.
But it's definitely at Disney. It might even be next week.
Yeah, I believe it is July, and we've only got one more July episode, so we'll have to hang tight for that one.
Oh, and that was them beating up Big Bubba Rogers, who did fit into the mold for the NWO of an ex-WWFer.
Yeah, they didn't seem to be super sure where they're going to go with it. Like, do they want to keep them as the cool three renegades? But Bubba would have been a good, quick one to turn. And as I've always said, it made sense that the numbers swollen up even where there was diminishing returns on the coolness of the members, because they are the heels, they are taking over, and that gives you something to have the Stings, the DDPs, the Horsemen's to then be the cool ones to plough through. But as we touched upon earlier in this episode, then the Halls and Nashes didn't really want to be the ones who were getting it back.
Yeah. And ultimately, every heel should get their comeuppance at the end of the day. That's what you build up to.
Of course, yeah, that's the story. Can you imagine like TV characters having that? Oh yeah, I like my character. I want people to think I'm really cool. I don't want to get killed off at the end of this season. It's ridiculous.
It's a problem with creative control contracts.
Absolutely.
And of course, rumor has it that if Bryan Danielson is signing with AEW, rumor has it he has got some kind of creative control for his character. But what degree that is to, I don't know. Whether they've learned from the failings of WCW or not, we'll have to wait and see.
I mean, to an extent, in selected cases, I can understand the veto clause, but I think you've got to also have some sort of protection as well. Like, for instance, the infamous one will be Bret Hart, where he had reasonable creative control, and that wording was shown up to be just far too vague, and that's just a hellscape for legal teams, because what is define reasonable creative control?
Yeah. Well, it's like in law where you can use reasonable force to defend yourself. Where do you draw the line at reasonable?
Yeah, and I would argue personally that saying that I will lose the belt to this guy in America, but I don't want to lose in Canada, I would argue that is reasonable. But then that is my subjective opinion. So in the terms of the law, it means absolutely Scott.
Yeah, yeah. So next match up, it is indeed, as we thought, Eddie Guerrero and Psychosis.
This should be good. To be fair, this should be the first really good match of the show. And I hope these guys get 10 minutes at least.
Yeah, if they play this right, they should have the crowd on their feet by the end of it. We've already seen Eddie Guerrero at this venue. We've already seen Psychosis at this venue against Rey Mysterio. And we know that Psychosis is the perfect foil, the perfect base for a high-flying luchador like Rey Mysterio, like Eddie Guerrero.
Exactly, and there's good Eddie chance to start. He's obviously had the TV presence. He's well established as one of your smiling, good guy, white hat baby faces on the show. He can wrestle in an exciting way. So yeah, it's a pretty easy setup here.
So yeah, the Eddie chants continue.
Do you know what I found interesting there? Bischoff just referenced the fact that Guerrero has a mean streak, even though he's a really nice guy, which obviously ended up being good inadvertent foreshadowing to his attitude adjustment in '97.
Yeah, and obviously future in WWE as well.
Oh yeah, he really evolved with it, didn't he? Like the whole thing built and built and built, and it's always good to see that. That character, rather than just turning heel face, and forgetting everything that came before it, there were his persona built upon previous incarnations each time.
Yeah, definitely. So we come back from a commercial break. I don't know how much of this match we've missed. A few minutes, I would imagine.
I mean, yeah, this was obviously live at the time, wasn't it? So you take your typical ad breaks in America, probably the same as ours, I think. But not quite as bad as like E4 and Channel 4. It's just me, or are they like twice as long as everywhere else?
I think they're all commercial breaks in the UK are 5 minutes.
I'm not having
Apart
that.
from, like,
Channel 4 and
apart from
E4 are like
in
10
between
forevers.
football. But they've certainly picked up the pace since before the commercial break. Psychosis clothesline to the floor. Eddie's going up top. Here we go.
Lob into the crowd as well. Nice
I was
stuff.
just about to say, look at how, he gets the crowd into it before he does the move. He just raising of an arm and getting the crowd behind him with that, and then does the dive.
Simple but effective.
Yeah.
And perfect for this crowd.
Absolutely. And this is the sign of someone who's grown up in the wrestling business, who's encountered all kinds of crowds all around the place before.
And, I'm trying to figure out, is Heenan referencing... Is this like a match that's already been set up for the future, I'm guessing, Flair and Guerrero? Because I think that's what Heenan was going on about. I could be wrong.
That's not a hog wild match or something, is
I
it?
think it might be. Because they definitely did have one or two pay-per-view matches. And if I remember correctly, they weren't actually as good as they really, really should have been, if I remember correctly.
I'll look it up. Bear with
They
me.
had this in, at least on pay-per-view, because I remember them having a good match on Nitro one time. But on pay-per-view, Ric Flair and Eddie Guerrero had like this bogey chemistry where they just couldn't click. I remember they had a match in 2002 WWE, if you remember as well. They just weren't as good as it should have been.
Yeah, Hog Wild, Flair defended the US title against Eddie Guerrero.
Which makes sense. At this juncture, Guerrero's a perfect babyface US title challenger.
Mm.
Psychosis returning the favour with a dive, and Heenan says, "Oh, he gored him with the horn on his mask."
Before the gore was a move in its own right in wrestling.
Yeah. Oh, and Heenan's absolutely putting Guerrero over here, saying, "I hope Flair doesn't sleep on him."
Psychosis up top. Massive leg drop. I mean, not a patch on a Bobby Eaton top rope leg drop, but still pretty good.
I mean, it's not, but that's his finish. That is the Psychosis finish. He's just used it in the middle of the match.
How strange. And Guerrero with a sort of modified victory roll gets a 2 count.
But yeah, this is definitely the first match that's getting the proper length. Doesn't necessarily have to be super long, but like, I mean, a good singles match on TV, 10 to 12 minutes normally, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a good length of time.
That was a lovely, crisp tilt whirl backbreaker, as only Eddie Guerrero could do it. And not many people could do the tilt whirl like him.
Psychosis now, he's going up for he went for a victory roll, changed it into Hurricane Rana, just gets a 2 count. That was tiny bit clumsy, but they got away with it.
But commentary are doing a really good job selling these new moves. It reminds me of, remember when we've done the 92 WCW pay-per-views with the Ligers and the Pillmans, and commentary would just really sell how dumbfounded they were by this blistering offense. Look at that.
Kind of a corkscrew senton from Psychosis gets a 2 count.
Heenan's putting over how Guerrero will soak up offense and play possum, and he's worried that Flair's going to walk right into that with his hubris.
Top rope Hurricane Rana from Guerrero, and Psychosis has landed in the perfect position for the frog splash. And look at the crowd. Look how the crowd are up on their feet. They recognise the frog splash, and look, everyone on that crowd, or most of the people in the crowd, are on their feet. They're getting behind Eddie Guerrero. He has absolutely perfectly worked this match and worked this crowd. Brilliant.
Absolutely. And I don't know if Bobby Heenan's got to look at the time cues there, but he's got that line in with perfect timing about Eddie Guerrero playing possible. Because just he's warned that he's worried that Flair might fall for that. Guerrero pops up with a comeback. It's a quick top rope Rana and a quick top rope frog splash.
Yeah.
So either he's just uncanny Heenan, or he's got the time cues in front of him.
But even if he knew roughly how long it's going to go, you generally speaking, you're not going to be told. No, I think that's just a good bit of fortune, but from an experienced commentator.
Although it
But
does make me want to ask, Dean, I wonder if there are, and you've been in commentary yourself, obviously. I'm wondering if someone that experienced in many realms of the business as Bobby Heenan is, I'm wondering if he can see these little subtle, if he sees like a go home sign or something like that, and he suddenly thinks, oh, if I run this narrative now, that'd be really cool. Just a thought that leapt to me. You'd imagine that some of the all-time greats have probably managed to play their multifacetedness like that.
Yeah. And here is the entrance music for Ric Flair. So he is indeed making an entrance.
I hope it's a good one, because Arn promised us a big entrance. I don't want Arn to be selling us a dummy here.
But we've got but Michael and Benoit, but there's no sign of Flair. And the commentators are asking where he is. Where is Flair?
And what you got? The other two are dressed like they normally are, all smiles, but woman is dressed and acting like she's nursing a hangover.
Yeah. So we got no Flair, we got no Anderson.
It sounds ominous, doesn't it, the way they're portraying this?
And yeah, Heenan has just said, "Where are the outsiders?" And they've both just gone, "Uh-oh, doesn't look good." Like, we now see Arn Anderson is out by a limousine looking through the windows.
You've got to love the old "who's in the limo" wrestling trope, haven't you?
Oh yeah.
Tried and tested. There'll be a birthday cake wheeled out next. Might as well play wrestling trope bingo.
So Arn Anderson now, well, he's on his way to the ring, and I say that because I recognise that tree. But we don't know where Flair is. So I don't know if this means they've done something.
Horseman huddle.
Yep. Here come the baby faces. So it sounds like Anderson is presumably taking the place of Flair.
Yeah, because it was ominous that you'd have a Horseman promo and not have Flair involved. And there's no sign of him for this match. I can only imagine that he was actually just flat unavailable, but they're trying to pretend that he's there.
Yeah.
One of those, obviously, it's one of those devices you can run where you establish someone's presence, but you don't see them. But as far as the storyline goes, they're there, and they'll say he's been attacked or something.
Yes. Sting looks like he's bought one of Bret Hart's old jackets off of eBay with the pink shoulder tassels.
And Lex Luger, judging by his look, is going to get a very big push. He's wearing lots of oil, Dean.
Oh, I see.
Very oil. That's how they like it. Lots of oil.
You could pretty much fry an egg on him, couldn't you?
I think, judging by the colour of his skin, a lot of things have been fried on him. He looks like he's been chucked in the fryer himself. But yeah, despite the opposition between these three babyfaces and the NWO at the pay-per-view, obviously the Horsemen are still the Horsemen. So right now we've got the good guys versus the bad guys, despite the NWO presence as well.
Well, I guess, yeah, they are facing each other, but if the outsiders come along, they will unite against the common enemy.
You'd think so, but as Heenan just said, Savage still very much despises the Horseman, despises Flair. He'll remember the Great American Bash '96. He'll remember Elizabeth throwing his money around. So there's
Yeah,
quite the dynamic here.
big backdrop Arn Anderson takes for Sting. So we've got about 10 minutes left in the broadcast. So it's not going to be the longest main event, but it's a 6-man tag. You imagine it's going to be bang, bang, bang. You know, lots of people getting in and out of the ring. Mongo with a shoulder block on Sting off the middle rope.
And that one's not going to go on the That's Our Mongo can, because actually really crisp and well timed there. I kind of like that spot.
The That's Our Mongo account has been shut down.
What?
After a complaint by Michael's family, I believe.
Well, you don't want to say too much because we know that Mongo's in ill health at the minute, but I would have liked to have thought that they could have seen especially as you consider that it had kind of evolved into a more general, non-Michael specific account.
No, they just said it was. I believe I'm right in saying that they thought it was taking the piss out of him at a time when he didn't need the piss taken out of him, and they objected. It's been shut down.
I mean, there is a point to be had there. It's a shame though because I'm pretty sure the account was evolving into it wasn't just Mongo stuff at one juncture, was it?
Yeah, no. Heenan on commentary is still talking about how something's going on, something's not right with Flair.
Well, I'll say this, just like I referenced earlier, Mongo's feeling it with this one.
Yeah. I'm also thinking that woman is dressed a bit like Alan Partridge's fake wife on the Hamilton Water Breaks episode. I understand none of our American listeners will get that, but I hope the British ones will.
You'd be surprised. Some of the British classics have translated very well over there, and we live in that society where it's very easy to do that now.
Excellent. We still see that limo. Someone's just walked up and opened the door, and I don't think they were meant to, so that's why they've just. Heenan just said someone from security. I don't think it was. I think it was just a regular tourist because he was in jeans and a t-shirt.
Why, Dean?
Because WCW. Either that or he was just about to nick it. If you see someone driving off in a limousine, it's that fella.
Benoit doing a few things I like to see in a tag team match. First off, what I like to see in any match is the heel arguing with the referee that they should have counted faster on the 2 count. And secondly, he's grabbing hold of Sting by the scruff of his hair while taunting Savage on the apron. Is this your partner? Is this all he's got?
And it was good to see Benoit and Sting there. Not a combination you saw all that often. And now we've got a combination we have seen that often, which is Sting and Arn Anderson.
They are emphasising his last-minute replacement, but I tell you what, he was prepared. Look at him in his ring gear.
Yeah, always bring your gear, Lim. Always bring your gear. And Mongo's getting a decent amount of time in this match.
His roles have been kept simple given his experience, but yeah, he's hitting his notes, as they say.
Well, I think he's lost it a bit now. Yeah, he's definitely lost it a bit
We've
now.
jinxed it.
He was kind of going for a belly to back suplex, and Sting was holding onto the rope, and he just collapsed onto the canvas. And I'm not quite sure what went wrong there.
I can only presume, or my guess would be, is that Mongo's not really give Sting much of a cue as to what he's lining up. Which, if you're going to grab someone and lift them up from behind, I'm guessing that's a good time for a wrestler to call a spot. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
So it might be because he's been grabbed and deadlifted from behind. He doesn't actually know what Mongo's got planned. That would be my vaguely educated guess.
So Sting and Anderson exchanging sleepers, and now Sting with the belly to back suplex of his own. Either that or he just didn't trust Mongo to drop him on his back, which I can understand.
Yeah, he's like, fuck that shit. Just do clubbing forearms, you prick.
And a big tag to Luger. Luger now in as the babyface showing the fire.
Heenan's still beside himself that Ric Flair's no-showed.
And what's great is Heenan is paranoid that the outsiders have done something to Flair.
He was also really alarmed when Bischoff speculated that the NWO are recruiting, with the implication being that Flair would be in play.
And that prick family in the front row are still beating each other up.
I mean, what a time to do it. It was understandable during some of the guff earlier, but come on, man. Things are revving and what's going on here?
The women were playing tug of war with the briefcase. And now Savage has just twatted Benoit with the briefcase.
And there's
it
the
looks
pin.
like Savage has got some of his money back.
But there was never any real indication of an argument between the girls. I don't know what that was all about. Now,
No,
Savage is trying
odd.
to twat a woman with a briefcase.
Oh, I think maybe Woman wanted to throw the briefcase into the ring, not Deborah. Maybe that was what it was.
So basically what we're saying is we've got this conflict between Deborah's compulsion to hold on to lots of money, because obviously she was very motivated by getting lots of money with Mongo joining the Horsemen.
Yep.
And it went into conflict with woman's natural compulsive urge to cheat the match.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, you nailed it on the head. You nailed it on the head, Liam.
Quite annoying we had to go to a replay to see that, but all right, we got there.
Yeah. So we've got we've got about 3 minutes left. So I don't know what's going to happen now. Promo time with the baby faces. Sting has been entrusted with the babyface briefcase now. Mean Gene just telling someone to not throw her underwear into the ring. It's in bad taste.
Did you hear Savage?
Yeah.
He overruled Gene. Yeah, he overruled.
That's right up there with put that cigarette out, surely.
Oh, big match.
So yeah, we've got the Outsiders v Luger and Sting at Hog Wild.
That's a big grudge match.
Yes.
I can't even remember watching. I probably have watched it, but now we're running through this chronologically. I'm actually pumped for this. Sting's feeling mean. He's feeling so mean. He's going to be massively homophobic towards Lord Stephen Regal. Oh wait, that's already
Yes,
happened.
that's happened. And he's now talking about apparently Hall and Nash are both Leos.
How has he turned
So
this into a zodiac reading?
I don't know. Not that Zodiac. God, no. Ed Leslie with his stupid face paint. Are Hall and Nash Leos? I need to find that out now.
Do you know what? If I was Macho Man and I was relieved after all these months to get hold of what's left of the divorce money, I'd be a little bit weirded out by how Stings insists on holding on to it.
Yeah.
He's not going to turn into the Crow. He's going to turn into the new VK Wall Street.
I can confirm that Scott Hall is not a Leo. I repeat, Scott Hall is not a Leo.
I can't believe these professional wrestlers lied to us, Dean. I've never felt this way before. This has never happened.
I can also confirm that Kevin Nash is not a Leo.
What?
I repeat, Kevin Nash is not a Leo. But but Hog Wild is a Leo.
Hog Wild, the concept is a Leo.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Well, the date of the pay-per-view. Savage is talking about the Army, the Navy, and the militia.
How about Don Leo Jonathan? Was he a Leo?
I don't know.
Macho Man just actually did a really good Booker T sucker.
I did. I saw that.
It
And thank God it was that and not something else.
Well, Mean Gene is there.
Yes, Don Leo Jonathan was not a Leo either.
He lied to us.
Yep.
Listen up, slap nuts. That's right. This is Jeff Jarrett, the chosen one, and you're listening to Because WCW. Now choke on that.
Well, that wraps up this Nitro. No Hogan, no Flair. I've got to say, all in all, a thumbs down from me. I mean, Guerrero and Psychosis was great, and Chavo Guerrero and Dean Malenko was okay, but all in all, that was a bit of a flat Nitro for me.
Yeah, I would be inclined to agree. I think the one thing I'd say in its favour, other than some other episodes we watched, especially of the 2-hour era, is that admittedly it flew by.
It did. I'll give it that.
The pacing was brisk, and I think if you're not going to have high quality content on there, I think the least you can ask for is that it just runs. That was one of the few saving graces of the Vince Russo Crash TV era, was that when something was shit, it wasn't on your TV for very long. But then that's basically just fixing a problem you've made yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what they've done here. Up until the last couple of matches worth, where the show did pick up considerably because we got proper stars. Obviously, the big main eventers in the main event. You got Eddie Guerrero, very popular TV presence, challenging for the US title, winning in the semi-main event. We got somewhere, but yeah, I've definitely watched worse episodes of Nitro so far in this run. It wasn't good, but at least we weren't feeling that hour and a half like we have a couple of these times.
Yeah, and then as I said, this was a head-to-head with a live 1-hour Raw, which saw Mankind beat Freddie Joe Floyd. So that was as Mankind was sort of entering the promotion. Goldust beating Barry Horowitz. Mark Merrow with Sable beating the Goon, who was Bill Irwin. And the main event was Shawn Michaels and Ahmed Johnson against the Smoking Guns with Sonny for the WWF Tag Team titles. So decent-ish main event, but again, not massive amounts of star power on that one either, I guess.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, they made quite the mini feud out of that. Like Shawn and Ahmed and the Smoking Guns ran opposite each other for like a few weeks, because then they do like a WWE title match and an Intercontinental title match, which doesn't seem, because you're not going to look at Billy and Buck Gunn and think, oh, they might win, but they definitely, if I remember correctly, they definitely ran that program for a few weeks of Raw.
Yeah. So now next week, do you remember I've been banging on for a while about how I remember a promo from Jim Duggan that sounded like Hulk Hogan, "You smoked my children."
Oh, is it coming?
Well, all I'm saying is that Jim Duggan's in the opening match next week. So it's from Disney MGM. So I'm thinking it's got to be that, surely. But we've also got next week. There's not too many matches. But I guess they will be given a bit of time. But we have got the 6-man tag that we're supposed to have of Luger, Sting, and Savage against Benoit, Flair, and McMichael next week on Nitro. Plus, we got Eddie Guerrero and Big Bubba Rogers, so that's going to be an interesting one with a style, or not a size difference, I suppose, but that'll be interesting to see how they get on there. But yeah, it looks like an intriguing one for the next time we do a watch along.
Yeah, it would depend what Bubba shows up really, because you can imagine like Bubba when he's motivated, Ray Trey when he's motivated would actually have a lot of fun with Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
Could really like play into that menacing heel thing. He can obviously when they do need to run the ropes and such, he can move when he wants to.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So who knows? That could be quite fun. I like these little. I want these little hidden gem matchups. They're one of my favourite parts of these. So I'm hoping that's one.
Yes. Right. Well, we will leave it there for this episode of Because WCW. Thank you so much for taking the time and trouble to download this and listen to it all the way through to the end here. If you want to follow us on Twitter, if you don't already, you can catch us at Because WCW, and we're on facebook.com/Because WCW as well. We'll be back very soon with a brand new episode. In the meantime, on behalf of Liam, this is me, the Twisted Genius, and thanks for listening, and we'll see you ringside.